Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. MC Mora here, and today we're gonna talk about how you can prepare for Street Fighter 6. This is a question that I have gotten a lot over the past couple of weeks, and when I asked you guys on the community post, I got it over on my Discord as well. It seems to be a topic that a lot of people are interested in. We know that next Thursday there is a PlayStation event, and apparently there is a chance that they might show Street Fighter 6, or at least we might get a new trailer. And we know that there is also the Summer Game Festival, and there is also a very high chance that we will get some sort of Street Fighter 6 coverage or content there. So I'm obviously very excited for that. But let's get back to the question of how do I prepare for Street Fighter 6. And obviously we don't know anything about the game from a mechanical standpoint yet, so it's very hard for me to tell you the specifics of how the game is gonna play out. And obviously with Street Fighter there is a history of the game changing with each iteration. So Street Fighter 4 is very different to Street Fighter 3, very different to Street Fighter 2, and obviously Street Fighter 5 was very different as well. Each game will have its unique hook or its unique mechanics, right? That is a given, and I expect Street Fighter 6 to carry over with that tradition as well. So it's likely that mechanics like V-trigger and crush counters are gonna be taken out. I expect the whole V system to be changed, and we will likely get something different instead, as V system is the signature mechanic of Street Fighter 5. In general, a lot of the mechanics that appears in the Street Fighter games carry over in some way, but there is always a central new mechanic. For example, in the Alpha series we had what's called Alpha counters. They are pretty much V reversals, right? So the idea of the V reversals is something that have been in the game before. And another example, a lot of the V triggers are like install based V triggers, and a character like Juri had a comeback ultra in Street Fighter 4, the Feng Shui engine, which was an install V trigger. So it's almost always an idea that was there at some point, and they kind of expand on it and build a game around it, or at least include it in the base of the game. With all of that being said, I talked about V system, I talked about maybe focus attack mechanics like as a V trigger, or like a install state, comeback, or like a new super. All of that have been there before, but notice I didn't talk about the fundamentals of Street Fighter, because believe it or not, the main basic fundamentals of Street Fighter as a series have more or less remained the same. Obviously some games fireballs are stronger than others, some games jumps are stronger than others, some game dashes will be more powerful. For example, in Street Fighter 3 and 5 dashes are pretty good, while in Street Fighter 4 not as much. So it's a balancing of the mechanics themselves might be a little bit different, but the basics, the fundamentals are always the same. So if you wanna prepare for Street Fighter 6, I will say try to focus as much as possible on improving your fundamentals as a player. Try to focus on anti-airs, knowing how to position yourself to anti-air, and just having the mindset that alright, I need to know my spacing, my character should play at the optimal ranges so that I am able to anti-air my opponent. That sort of mentality and developing the habit of doing that is actually very helpful at this point. Another thing is develop the skills that will universally help you in any game. For example, understanding the fireball game as someone who is playing against a fireball user, or maybe try to pick up a fireball character yourself and get a feel for it. Will fireballs be strong in Street Fighter 6? I honestly doubt it, but because the trend in many of the modern fighting games is to kind of nerf fireballs, but still understanding the fireball strategies and when you should throw a fireball, when you shouldn't, etc. is very helpful, all things considered. Focus on trying to improve your spacing, your poking, your whiff punishing, all of the basic fundamentals. All of that will carry over, and you will start Street Fighter 6 being really solid. Most of the times players who were pretty good at the prior game end up being the pro players of the next game. A lot of the players, like say for example Punk was a pretty good Street Fighter 4 player. He was still young, but he wasn't like a top player, right? He's just an online warrior as far as I know, and he went on to become one of the strongest Street Fighter 5 player. And the same for a player like NuckleDu. NuckleDu had some tournament success in Street Fighter 4, but he was still young and he kinda made it to a pro level in Street Fighter 5 and obviously won Capcom Cup. So the skills will carry over, and your investment or your time investment in Street Fighter 5 right now, sorry for rambling, will actually help you in Street Fighter 6. Now, one other thing that I think we should take into consideration is Luke, because although Luke is, like, we know he's the main character of Street Fighter 6, there is a chance that he is carrying or he is playing some sort of a mechanic that might be prevalent in Street Fighter 6. So I will actually advise kinda being accustomed to Luke, or at least understanding his mechanics well. Luke obviously has the charge mechanic with the flash knuckle, and I have a feeling that this is gonna be a central mechanic in Street Fighter 6, like they're gonna give you the ability to charge your specials, and maybe that's gonna give you better combos. I have a sneaky feeling that this is gonna make it into the game and it's gonna be a system-wide mechanic, and if it is, that will be very nice in my opinion. It's something that I really liked, and it was somewhat present in Street Fighter Cross Tekken, so like I said, it's not like a completely brand new mechanic that we have never seen before, but I would like to see it make a comeback. So maybe that is a new mechanic in Street Fighter 6. Maybe you will get something like his forward moving attacks, like all of his punch normals moving forward. This will give you an easier time with punishing, so maybe try to practice that. If you're someone who is only playing command characters, why not check out charge characters, or maybe try to play a grappler. If you're someone who have always played a zoner, if you're someone who's always played rushdown, maybe try to play a somewhat more defensive character and focus on your defense and decision making. What I'm trying to say is try to expand your skill set. Try to learn as many new skills and as much new characters, and try to expand your abilities as a player, right? Because the fundamentals, the basics will carry over. When I started playing Street Fighter 4, I first played Balrog, which was a charge character. So I started playing Street Fighter with charge characters, and with that I kinda had been accustomed to charge, right? That's what I started with, and I had to learn command. And then obviously I played Cody, and then I played Poison. Cody taught me how to whiff punish in Street Fighter 4, he taught me how to play basic neutral. I learned a lot about frame traps, a lot about counter poking. A lot of things that I learned from Cody in Street Fighter 4 helped me in Street Fighter 6. And I played Poison, and Poison kinda taught me a fireball game, despite her having one of the strongest one in Street Fighter 4. She taught me how to DP when someone jumps, etc, etc. And obviously with Street Fighter 5 I started with Mika, who helped me a lot understand the psychology of a grappler player, and obviously played Chun-Li, which was a lot of poking and neutral. And then obviously we got to Poison and Cody again, which play completely different in this game, but the basics, the fundamentals that I have learned all through these years kinda helped me get started. And obviously if you're following the channel, you know that I play a ton of characters now, and I learned a little bit of everything with each one of them, and that's honestly the best advice I can. Just play the game and try to learn, try to expand your skills as much as possible. If you have enjoyed this video, please leave a like or a comment, it helps the channel so much. I will be leaving a link to the Patreon, Discord, Twitter and Twitch page, although I don't know when I will get back to Twitch, to be honest. Hopefully soon. Thank you very much for watching and stay safe.